Right, good evening, everyone. We'll start with the session. If you have any doubts, please go ahead and ask me. Sir will join in a while. We can meanwhile take a few questions until he comes. Okay. Right. Go ahead with your questions.
Ma'am, I have remember you have asked a question about the radio reports and the question
Yeah.
which is asked in the quiz to like hearing of that code. So I have question regarding to that.
Yeah, please post your questions. We can take a look at it.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure. Meanwhile, if anyone else has any question, you may please go ahead until we post these questions.
Actually, ma'am, I think there is a limitation in the chat box. Like I can't share more than the two options.
Right,
Uh,
right. So, could you please tell me what the doubt was? If that's the case, maybe, we can take a look at other documents as well. What was the question?
yes, ma'am.
Uh,
So the question was, the question asked that first question is that with the most fitting response from the options given below,
mm,
keep in the mind the setting, the tone, and the subject of the conversation, and the capacities within which the speakers are interacting. Can you ma'am see the first
Sorry,
question?
Praveen, I'm so sorry. I got a call in between. Can you please say this again?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah,
So the question says that fill in the blanks with the most fitting response from the options given below. Keep in mind the setting, the tone, and the subject of the conversation, and the capabilities within which the speakers are interacting. Okay, ma'am.
okay, okay.
So can are you able to see the first question?
I'm
Like
able to see
Judge
the
Mr.
first question. Yeah,
Yes. So, ma'am, what will be the correct option from these three options? Yes, sure, we have. Yes, of course. Or
mm.
we have, Your Honor. So,
We have your, sorry.
we have, Your Honor.
Mr. Foreperson, is it correct that the jury has reached a verdict? And what are the options? Sorry, once again.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, sure, we have. Yes, of course. And we have, Your Honor.
I think it should be the last one or I think the second one. One of this.
Last one is the
Yeah.
correct answer.
Last
So the
one.
second,
Hmm.
yes, ma'am. I got this one correct, but
Okay.
the other questions like the second one.
Ah,
Second one also asked the same question. So
yeah.
which is the most appropriate answers from these two?
Hmm.
Why don't you rise for the
Hmm.
reading of the
Hmm.
verdict now?
Hmm. Hmm.
And the second is the defendant will please rise for the reading of the verdict. And
Hmm.
the third one is stand up defendant.
Okay.
For the second
That is,
blank.
will the clerk of the court please take the verdict? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your options are, once again,
Sir, why don't you rise for the reading of the verdict now?
that is definitely not the option.
Yes,
Then the
ma'am.
next one.
The second is the defendant will please rise for the reading of the verdict. And the
Ah,
third one is the stand up defendant.
the second one, no?
Yes, ma'am. Second one is
Yeah.
the correct.
Okay. Ah,
I can see that the judge is the speaking now. So
yes, correct.
why stand-up defendant is not correct, ma'am?
Because it's an impolite way, no? You can't just say stand up defender, right? Stand up is what this is basically an imperative sentence. And usually in professional settings, you are required to use more uh, indirect and polite language rather than using something very direct as stand up. Even if you are the judge or you are the highest ranking officer in the court premise, the domain and the context needs you to maintain formality in speech, right? Which is why it's the second option. Okay? The rest of the
Okay.
two, why don't you stand up or stand up defendant? Both have they have rules of informality in them, which is why we don't use them. Okay.
Actually, in the I have seen some hearings of the court in the
Hmm.
live. Like so, in the can I speak in Hindi? So they say
Yes.
like कि आरोपी खड़े हो जाए
हाँ, so
आरोपी
आरोपी खड़े हो जाएं is for polite, no? It doesn't say आरोपी खड़े हो जाए. It's not how they say, right? खड़े हो जाएं, which is
ओके ओके
optative, right? So this is more,
ओके
it's like चप्पल उतारें या हाथ धोएं, right? This is more optative in nature. It's polite expression,
ओके
right?
ओके
हाँ,
ओके
आप बैठें, ठीक है? So these are
ओके
all more polite in expression. Yes.
ओके third option I think is not visible in the chat box. So we can,
Okay. Uh,
yes, ma'am. I'm copying that option. Wait a
sure.
minute.
No problem.
I pasted the third option. Third question. So uh, options are members of are you able to see the third question?
Yeah, I can see the third blank.
Yes,
You can tell me
yes,
the
ma'am.
option.
So options are the members of the jury. Is that your verdict? The second option is, do you all agree with the verdict? And the
Mhm.
third option is, are you sure that is your verdict, jurors?
So members of the jury, is that your verdict, right? That should be the answer.
Uh,
Is it so?
yes, ma'am, it is. Uh, why the do you all
Yes, yes.
agree the verdict
So
is not?
see,
Yes,
yeah, that is
ma'am.
because you look at the sentence here, right? GS
Mhm.
15A 2000, murder in the first degree, not guilty. So the verdict is pronounced now. Okay. And the sentence that we are using, members of the jury, is that your verdict is a confirmation sentence. So the statement or the verdict is pronounced, and now the person is seeking confirmation on whether this is the verdict that they have given or not, right? So to use a sentence that needs to confirm something, the second option, uh, that is members of the jury, do you is that your
All
verdict is more
yes,
appropriate.
ma'am. Okay, okay. So last question I have.
Sure. Okay.
Fourth one is there.
Yes, I
So
see that.
options for this question are, the jury seems to be of one mind here. The
Mhm.
jury does not uphold its verdict. The jury uphold its verdict.
Okay, so the jury upholds its verdict. Is that so?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I marked the jury seems to be of one mind here
Uh-huh.
because
Uh,
nobody.
okay, correct,
Yes,
correct.
ma'am.
See, so it is wrong because this is a final word on the verdict that is passed, right? So expressions like seems to be and all cannot be used because this is an ambiguous usage. You need to be more clear in along the sentences that you use for context like this. So seems make it a little ambiguous. It makes you feel like the person is not sure about it, which is why that option goes out. And the second option is anyway not correct because the verdict is upheld, right? It's not upheld. So
Yes, ma'am.
uh, that's why the last option. That seems to be the most
Okay.
appropriate one given the context.
Okay, ma'am. One more question, ma'am, from this hearing.
Ah,
No, no more question, ma'am. The last one,
okay,
am I correct?
okay, all right.
Okay.
So, see, for questions like this, no, please read it and understand the context first, right? Before you mark the answer, see if the expressions that you are going to use or the words and phrases that are put together in the sentence best fits the context that is being given in the comprehension, right, or in the passage, right? Before that, just because it serves the meaning correctly to fit in that blank, don't go ahead and mark uh, all these kind of questions, like this one that we have discussed, these are all what they are more formal and more, professional context. So in context like that, the factor of politeness and usage of indirect expressions are very commonly seen. So look for these things before you answer the questions of this picture. Okay.
One more question, ma'am.
Ah.
For these kinds of questions, is there
Yeah.
any resource from where we can practice those questions?
I think you already have lectures on pragmatic competence. I'm sure there's one lecture. You're from English too, is it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm from.
So I think towards the last, I do not exactly remember which module it is, but then one of it has a lecture on, uh, you know, uh, using language in pragmatic context. So pragmatic competence, I think that's the title of the lecture, or if not something else, something along that line, right? Please check out that lecture.
Actually, from
Please go through that lecture and see, right? There are several expressions, several techniques that are referred to in that particular lecture to deal with context and situations like this. Okay.
Which lecture? I think someone has said something about the lecture.
I do not know if they were
week
talking
12,
about.
first lecture.
Week 12,
Right.
first lecture. Okay, okay.
So it's like more like a general topic, but then there is a lecture on that. So you can look at it and have more specific instances of where this is used and what are the techniques that can be used to, tackle these kind of situations. Where can you find the answers for the sessions? The sessions itself, Rania. We don't have any answers collated for the session because we want people to attend the session. Okay. So there's no separate document that gives you the answers for it. You'll have to follow through the session itself to know the answers. Okay. Sure, no problem. Okay, anyone? Any other questions? Kiran, are you trying to ask something? Because I couldn't hear. In case you are not able to speak, you may leave your question in the chat as well, so I can take a look at it and answer.
No, man, not as no.
Okay, all right. Others in the meeting, Neha and this person is. Okay, no questions?
I have a question from graded assignment week 10.
Mhm.
Deadline has passed. So the
Okay,
question is,
yeah.
yes, ma'am. The question is the displayed ornaments glittered in the dazzling lights. So the
Mhm.
not this one, not this one. Sorry, ma'am. Not this one. This is the question. So the sentence is the displayed ornaments glittered in the dazzling light. So the question asks that in the sentence, verbs and the participles. I got
Mm.
the verb correct, like glittered is the,
Mm.
yes, glittered is the verb there. So, ma'am, can you
Mm.
explain the participle part for
Yeah,
that sentence?
participle is displayed, right? It says displayed ornaments, right? Is that the expression? The displayed ornaments glittered in the dazzling light, is it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So displayed is one participle and dazzling is another participle. Okay,
Okay,
two of
okay,
them. Ah.
okay,
So ed and ing are usually the markers of these participles. So we're talking about past participles when they have ed, right? So for example, like I was bored. Okay, so bored here is not a verb, right? Is your verb. Bored is the adjective. So these
yes, ma'am.
participle forms are usually used as adjectives, like you see in the sentence, right? Displayed ornaments. Displayed is basically an adjective that is modifying the noun ornaments, right? Displayed ornaments. It can be used similar to gold ornaments or silver ornaments. So gold ornaments, silver ornaments, displayed ornaments, right? It
Okay,
functions
ma'am.
like an adjective. Similarly, the ing participle also works like an adjective. So dazzling lights. So bright light, yellow light, dazzling lights. Dazzling is also functioning as an adjective. Okay, so these are participles, ed and ing. They are participles and they can be used as adjectives to modify them. Okay. Yeah, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. More
Ma'am,
questions? Yes, go ahead, Kiran.
uh,
Kiran, your voice is breaking. Can't hear you clearly.
is it breaking?
It's fine now. It was. Tell me what your question was.
Okay. Is the shorter form although
Okay, okay. It's
Chinese
still, uh,
interchange?
Kiran, it's still not clear. I think there's some audio issue on your end. If you can fix it and come back, please do that. Otherwise, you may leave your question in the chat. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Is though a shortened form of although? No, no. They are two different words, though and although. Uh, yeah, you can use them interchangeably. That's fine, but it's not a shortened form. They are two different forms. Okay.
But ma'am, in an activity question of
Ah,
11.1, it is true. The statement is true. It says, uh,
uh,
though is an informal.
I cannot hear you properly, Kiran. Your voice is still breaking.
He's saying that in the activity 11.1, this marks as correct, though is a short form
What is
of
marked as
It
correct?
says this statement is true.
No, no, they are not short forms. They are two different words. We'll ask them to make difference. One is not a shortened form of it. Okay. Any other questions? Which was this question? Can you please mention the activity question number?
11.1,
Okay.
question number 4.
Okay. I will try and locate it. I don't think because of randomization the numbers would remain the same. But it
The
says
question
that
is,
although, sorry, though is the short form of although, is it?
yes, ma'am, it is usually it is used informally and used in speech more than writing. The answer marked as correct.
That could be correct, but I thought you were saying that it mentions that this word is the short form of though.
No, no,
Does
this
it
was
say
not
that?
the question.
Okay. I thought you say that. No, no. Uh, Whatever it mentions, otherwise is fine, but it's definitely not the short form of though. Although and though are two separate words.
It is the shortened form, but we cannot use them interchangeably because a question is different from that the statement which he mentioned. The question is though is a shortened form of although it is informally and used in speech more than writing.
That is correct. The
Okay.
difference is they can be used with the same meaning, but yes, one is more formal than the other, especially though. Though is used in speech, in informal speech more, especially if you are using though at the end of the sentence, right? I did not attend the meeting though. Okay, so this is like a very informal usage. So in that sense, yes, they are different or they're interchangeably used, but they're not far apart in meaning from each other. It's only the formality context that varies for. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any, so can I leave?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay.
Ma'am, what are infixes?
Sorry, didn't hear you
What are
clearly.
infixes in?
Uh, uh, Kiran, just leave the question in the chat. I don't think your audio is, working well today. You can, there seems to be some disturbance. Please leave the question in
No.
the chat.
Okay.
How to prepare for the end term? Yes, please go through the lectures if you haven't already. Read through all the slides. Yes, assignment questions, practice questions are more than enough. The patterns are more or less the same. If you have time, if the time permits, please go through these recorded sessions also. They can give you an extra boost in preparation. That one should be more than enough. But uh, more importantly, please revise all the lectures and the PPTs carefully.
Hello, ma'am. Is this just a
Um,
doubt session?
yes, yes, this is a doubt clearing session.
So if you don't have any doubt, we can leave, right?
Sure, sure,
All right. Thank you.
sure, sure. Okay. Kiran, I see your question now. This is on infixes. Okay. Infixes are usually the affixes, that is, uh, word particles that are fixed in between two words, right? You have prefix and suffix. So prefix appears at the beginning of the word, like say dislike. So this is a prefix, right? Appears in the beginning of the word like. Successful, full is a suffix which appears at the end of the word. Similarly, infix is something which would break open a word in between and place itself inside. So, for example, examples like um, passers by. Okay, so passer by is your actual word, and you insert the plural suffix sir within it, right? So just look at your chat box here. This is an example of an infix. So the plural suffix is what has been infixed in between the words passer and by to form the word passers by. So if you have any kind of segments, the particles or affixes as they are called rightly, that are placed in between two words, right? By breaking them open, then we call them infixes. Okay? Uh, Next one is, what is this one? Sorry. Bound morphemes are also same thing. So they are basically affixes, right? So they can either be prefixes or suffixes or infixes. They're basically same thing. If you have a suffix or a prefix in a given word, then the suffixes or the prefixes or the infixes are called bound morphemes. They cannot stand on their own. So if FUL, full, or NESS, ness, these are all suffixes. They acquire meaning only when you attach them to a word, right? On their own, they don't have any meaning. So ness has no meaning on its own. This has no meaning on its own. Only when you attach it to a given word, to a root word, they form a meaningful expression, right? So that's what bound morphemes are. Free morphemes are any, independent words which can stand on their own without the help of others. Okay. Right. Any more questions? Kiran and Neha and some other person here. Okay, Neha. Kiran, have you got any other questions for us? Yeah, you're welcome, Neha.
Are we done, Lida?
Seems like it's a.
Okay.
Uh,
Just check with
ma'am,
them, and if it is done, you can close.
Sure, sure, sure. Kiran, do you have any more questions or shall we call it a day in case you don't have any?
um, ma'am, in the lecture it is mentioned in English, we don't have infixes.
I can't hear you at all, Kiran. Please,
Um,
use the chat box.
the,
I can hear you, but your voice is breaking way too much. I cannot understand. Okay, Kiran, in case it's not possible for you, please write to us on the forum also. Someone will answer your question. If you want us to wait for a minute or so, we can, no problem. But if you're not planning to ask a question, then let us know. Or alternatively, you can also write to the forum, right? That's also a possibility. Okay, sure, Kiran. You can write to the discourse and get the question answered, no problem. So if we do not have any questions from anyone anymore, then maybe we can close. Neha and I think Pratham or someone joined just now. You guys have any questions? Neha said no, but Pratham, you just joined. Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Facing power cut problem. Yeah, no problem, Kiran. Please write to the discourse, okay? No issues. We'll definitely answer your question. Okay, thank you everyone. See you again then. Next week we'll see you again. Since we don't have any more questions, we'll close the session for today. Okay? Thank you so much.
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. Ma'am, in 11.2, lecture 2, it is mentioned that there are no infixes in the English language. And the timing is 23.
No, the lecture probably meant that the instances of infixes are not very common in English. That is true. There are not many words which will have an infix, and most of the words that we have with an infix is also something that has been a recent addition. Okay? So this is not like a part of the English always, but it's more like a recent process for it. So it's true. So there are few examples, but then they're very rare, right? Mostly what you have are prefixes and suffixes. So instances are very low. And maybe, the lecture meant that it is too low and to the levels where it is negligible. That's all. You need to interpret it like that, okay? The meaning is this, that it's quite a rarity to have infixes in English. Okay?
Very seldom that it's negligible, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how you need to interpret it, right? When it says no instances, sorry, not there, it basically means even if it is there, it is quite negligible. Very, very fewer instances of infixes. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Is that all? Yeah. Okay. Sure. All right. Aishwarya, I think you can close the. If you don't have any more questions.
Let's